Hi friends! Today's book is Pocahontas. When English settlers land in America, Pocahontas befriends one of them. She believes John Smith is part of her destiny. Her father is wary of the visitors, and war seems inevitable. Will Pocahontas be able to convince her father that fighting is not the answer? Let's find out. Okay. So, our picture is this very nice picture of Pocahontas and Miko looking out onto the river at the ship. And here's our title page. It is Pocahontas. Down here it says Disney Press, so they own the pictures, the rights, and the story, and the words. Long ago there lived a Native American princess named Pocahontas. She and her friends Miko the raccoon and Flit the hummingbird loved adventure. Her father, Chief Powhatan, believed that it was time for her to settle down. Even the wild wind mountain stream must someday join the big river, he declared. But to Pocahontas, rivers were always changing. They weren't settled at all. Feeling uncertain, Pocahontas went to see Grandmother Willow, a wise and magical tree deep in the forest. She told the tree about her father and about a dream she'd been having. There is an arrow before me that spins until suddenly it stops. Grandmother Willow smiled warmly at Pocahontas. It seems to me this spinning arrow is pointing you down your path, she said. Just then, a breeze blew through Grandmother Willow, rustling her leaves. The wind was speaking to Pocahontas. Pocahontas climbed into the tree's branches, trying to hear the wind more clearly. Looking out over the branches, she saw strange clouds in the distance. Suddenly, she realized those weren't clouds at all. They were sails of a great big ship. The ship was the Susan Constant. It had sailed all the way across the ocean from England. The ship carried a group of settlers that were eager to explore the new land. Ratcliffe, the governor, had come in search of gold. He would stop at nothing to get it and vowed that not even the land's natives would stand in his way. He gave an order to a man named John Smith, make sure no Native Americans disrupted their mission. The adventurous John Smith could not wait to get off the ship and explore the new land. He jumped off the boat before it was even anchored and made his way into the forest. Pocahontas had been watching all along. When she saw John in the forest, she couldn't help but follow him. She had never seen anyone with such pale skin and yellow hair before. Meanwhile, back in Pocahontas's village, Chief Powhatan and the elders wondered what the ship's arrival might mean. The medicine man threw powder into a fire, and smoke rose from the flames. The smoke took shape of warriors with weapons and that shot fire and thunder. Then the warriors turned into hungry wolves. Let us hope they don't intend to stay, the chief said, concerned. In the forest, John Smith stopped by a river to take a drink. Suddenly, he saw Pocahontas's reflection. She started to run, but he called out to her. Wait! I'm not going to hurt you! John Smith smiled and held out his hand. Just then, a breeze swirled up around them. Listen to the spirits, Pocahontas reminded herself. Taking his hand, she smiled back. Soon the two were talking. John Smith told Pocahontas all about London, the city he was from. "We'll build one like it right here," he said. Taking John Smith by the hand, Pocahontas showed him the beauty of her land. Slowly, Smith realized that it was his people who had much to learn. "You think I'm an ignorant savage, and you've been so many places. I guess it must be so, but still I cannot see if the savage one is me. How can there be so much that you don't know? You don't know." The next day, Pocahontas snuck off into the forest to meet John Smith. Her father had warned her that the new settlers were dangerous, but Pocahontas, she didn't care. She led him to Grandmother Willow, who startled Smith by greeting him. Soon they were chatting like old familiar friends. Later, Pocahontas spoke with Grandmother Willow. "I know I shouldn't see him," she said, "but something inside me is telling me it's the right thing." Grandmother Willow thought for a moment. "Perhaps it's your dream," she said at last. "It appears, my dear, that you have to follow your own path." When Pocahontas returned to her village, she found the men preparing to fight. "We don't have to fight the settlers," she told her father. "There must be a better path." Pocahontas knew she had to make John Smith speak to her father, but she was sure she could find a way to make peace. Pocahontas' friends, Nakoma, tried to stop her, but Pocahontas wouldn't listen. "I know what I'm doing," she said. Worried, Nakoma begged a warrior named Kocoum to follow Pocahontas. When Kocoum saw Smith, he attacked him. A settler who had followed Smith jumped out and shot Kocoum. Suddenly, more warriors appeared. Thinking Smith killed Kocoum, they captured him. Back in the village, Pocahontas' father sentenced John Smith to die at dawn. "I'm sorry," Pocahontas told him, broken-hearted. "It would have been better if we had never met." "No," he said. "I had to meet you. If I'd never known you, I would have no idea how precious life can be." Sadly, Pocahontas went to see Grandmother Willow. Just then, Meeko handed her John Smith's compass. Pocahontas watched the tiny arrow spin around. "It's the arrow from your dream!" Grandmother Willow cried. The arrow stopped and pointed toward the rising sun. "You know your path, child," said Grandmother Willow. "Now, follow it." The settlers, ready to fight the Native Americans, marched through the forest. Armed with guns, they made their way to the execution site. War seemed inevitable. Atop a cliff, the warriors placed Smith's head on a large stone slab. Just as Chief Powhatan raised his club to strike, the settlers burst from the forest. Then the chief heard his daughter's voice. "If you kill him, you'll have to kill me too," she told her father. The settlers raised their muskets, prepared to fight for Smith. "Look around you, father," Pocahontas told Powhatan. "This is where the path of hatred has brought us. The chief listened to his daughter. Release the prisoner, he said. The warriors lowered their weapon, but greedy Governor Ratcliffe had no interest in making peace. He grabbed a gun and fired it at the chief. No, John Smith said, pushing Powhatan out of the way. The bullet hit John instead, and he fell to the ground. Furious, the settlers grabbed the governor and locked him up in the ship. John Smith was alive, but his wound was deep. He'll die if he stays here, the settlers told Pocahontas. Pocahontas gave Smith a small pouch of medicine. It's Grandmother Willow's bark, she said. It will help with the pain. Her father laid down his own cloak over Smith's body. You are always welcome among my people, he declared. Smith begged Pocahontas to go to England with him, but Pocahontas could not say yes. Her path, she knew, was with her own people. But I can't leave you, said John Smith. You never will, Pocahontas told him. No matter what happens, I'll always be with you, forever, she promised. The settlers carried Smith back to the Susan Constant. Alone on shore, Pocahontas watched as the boat's sails filled with wind. She waved as John Smith taught her. Then, sadly, she watched as the ship sailed out into the mighty waters that had no beginning and no end. And that, my friends, is the end of Pocahontas. Thank you for watching and reading along with me. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye!